The signal and the silence. Captain Rion sat alone in the dark command room of Helix 1, the last human research station floating above Earth. The stars outside the window were calm, silent, and far away. Most days were the same, long hours of silence, broken only by routine system checks and auto reports. Rian had been alone on this station for 6 months now. He had gotten used to the quiet, the emptiness, the endless hum of machines. But today, something changed at 2:37 a.m. station. Time. The silence broke. A soft ping echoed across the control panel. Rian turned his chair and leaned forward, frowning. It wasn't a system error, and it wasn't a message from Earth. The signal was coming from deep space, a sector marked as dead. It was not supposed to have anything, not even a small asteroid. Rian activated the decoder. Static filled the speakers, followed by a strange pattern beeps, then silence, then more beeps. It sounded almost like a heartbeat. Then a voice came, soft, calm, and strange. A woman's voice, speaking slowly, clearly. But what shocked Rian most was not the language. It was the words. The voice said his name. Captain Rian Solis, it said. I have been waiting for you. Rian froze. His fingers hovered over the controls. He checked every system. No error, no virus, no sign of outside control. But the voice continued. You are alone. Yes, but not forgotten. It said, you have been chosen. Chosen for what? Rian whispered, but no answer came. Then the lights in the room flickered. A strange energy pulse hit the station, making the floor vibrate. Before he could react, everything went dark. When Rian opened his eyes, he was no longer in Helix 1. He stood in a place with no walls, no floor, no sky. It was a void, a black space filled with floating stars and shimmering lights. He looked at his hands, his suit. Everything seemed real, but unreal at the same time. Then she appeared, a figure of light and shadow. She was tall, glowing, with a face that changed every second. Human, alien, ancient, and young. Her voice filled the void like music. I am the one who watches, she said. You may call me the goddess. Rian tried to speak, but no sound came from his mouth. She raised her hand gently, and his voice returned. Where am I? He asked. You are between worlds, she replied. A place few have ever seen. Why me? He asked again. Because your heart is still curious, she said. Because you listen when others forget. She moved closer, and her eyes, shining like galaxies, looked into his. I offer you 3 boons, she said. 3 wishes. If you prefer. Rian stepped back, confused. This is a dream, he muttered. This can't be real. The goddess smiled. All dreams are real somewhere, she said. But this is a choice. Rian felt a warmth in his chest, a strange energy filling him. He thought of Earth, of the wars, the pain, the broken systems, the lost people. He thought of the silence he lived in, the loneliness of space. If this was real, even a small chance, he had to try. Make your first wish, the goddess said, her voice calm but powerful. But choose wisely, mortal, she added. Your first wish will shake the heavens. Rian took a deep breath. He looked up at the swirling lights above, then back at her glowing face, and then he spoke. I wish, he said slowly, that humanity would never lose a war again. The moment the words left his mouth, the void began to tremble. Lights flickered, stars spun faster, and a deep hum rose from beneath his feet. The goddess closed her eyes, her body glowing brighter and brighter. It is done, she said, and then everything vanished. Rian gasped and woke up, back in his chair on Helix 1. The lights were normal, the machines silent, the stars still outside the window. Had it all been a dream? He reached for the control panel only to find it completely changed. New symbols, new systems, advanced technology he had never seen before. He looked out the window again. Earth was still there, but something was different. He wasn't sure. What had changed yet? But deep inside, he knew this was just the beginning. The first wish, and the war that never was. Rian stood frozen in his chair, eyes locked on the screen in front of him. Nothing made sense. The Earth he looked at was not the same Earth he remembered. The blue planet still spun quietly in space, but its orbit was surrounded by massive satellites. Not human-made, not from any country he knew. They glowed with energy he couldn't recognize, their surfaces marked with symbols older than language. Looked down at the console again. The buttons were smooth, glowing, and the text on the screen was written in a hybrid language, part English, part something else, something alien. As his fingers hovered over the controls, a console responded to his thoughts. "What is this?" he whispered. The screen blinked once, then displayed a single sentence. "Your wish has been granted, Captain Rian Salas." He staggered back from the console, heart pounding. The voice of the goddess echoed in his mind again. "Your first wish will shake the heavens." He remembered his words clearly now. "I wish that humanity would never lose a war again." And now, something had changed, something deep and massive. He wasn't dreaming. The station's systems unlocked themselves, and a file opened by command of his voice. It was titled Operation Timeline, Revised History. Inside it was a detailed log of events, wars that never happened, nations that never fell, invasions that were stopped before they even began. The Second Global War ended in one day, the Martian uprising of 2147, prevented with peace talks, and superior defense systems. The Omega virus of 2193 never existed. In this reality, humanity had won every war without fail, without loss. But how? That's when he noticed something chilling. In every war record, there was no mention of enemies surrendering, only erasure. Entire species, factions, and alien empires had vanished from history, like they were wiped clean. Suddenly, the station. Alarm buzzed. A communication request came through, an urgent signal from Earth's Unified Council. Rian accepted, and a man's face appeared, old but sharp, wearing a silver uniform he had never seen before. "Captain Salas," the man said, "welcome back to active status. We weren't expecting you so soon. What happened?" Rian asked, "What is this world?" The man looked confused, then concerned. "You've been gone for 22 minutes, Captain," he said, "but the system registered a Class X temporal surge centered on your station." Rian shook his head. "I made a wish," he said. "And now?" "Everything's different." The man's face became serious. "You used one of the boons, didn't you?" he said quietly. "The myth is real." Before Rian could ask more, another signal interrupted an emergency alert from Lunar Base 12. The image came on screen, and everyone fell silent. A dark shape hovered over the moon, massive and alive. It looked like a tangle of shadow and bone, larger than a city. Its skin pulsed like a heartbeat, and its voice came through every speaker and every station. "You have broken the cycle." The voice said, deep and ancient, "The wish has shattered." The seal. "The Watchers are waking." The Unified Councilman looked terrified. "This is what we feared," he said. "The Watchers are not enemies. They are corrections." "Corrections?" Rian asked. "Yes," the man whispered. "They appear when reality shifts beyond the natural line. They destroy what does not belong." And Rian, now the only man who remembered both timelines, realized the truth. His wish didn't just protect humanity. It had changed the entire structure of time, of fate, of natural balance. And something ancient had noticed. The screen went black again, and a final message appeared. Your first wish was not a gift. It was a key. Outside Helix 1, in the cold silence of space, a second shadow began to form. This one spoke no words, but its eyes opened 2 stars, vanishing into darkness, and it was coming for him. The broken stars and the Watchers. Rian couldn't sleep. even in the silence of space. Something felt wrong. It wasn't just the new world or the strange technology. It was the sky. The stars weren't right anymore. He sat at the edge of the Helix 1 observation deck, staring at the cosmos. He had memorized this sky long ago, every cluster, every belt, every lonely little dot. But now he could see the broken ones, stars that flickered unnaturally, stars that used to shine but now looked like holes, dark, cold, silent, black voids, had appeared across the galaxy, like someone had carved them out with a blade. He wasn't imagining them. The goddess returned to him in a dream that didn't feel like a dream. Her glow was dimmer now, and her voice softer, weaker. "You've shaken the chain," she whispered. "And now the Watchers have opened their eyes." "Who are they?" he asked. "Guards," she replied. "Not of life, but of order. They don't protect people," she said. "They protect reality itself. They do not forgive tampering." Rian opened his eyes, breathing heavily. He remembered what? The Unified Councilman said, "The Watchers are corrections." But what did that mean? The next day, Earth's solar defense network went silent. Satellites stopped transmitting. Lunar colonies lost contact. And then something arrived. It was seen first over Mars, a shape like a cathedral made of bones, floating through space with no engines, no heat, no light. It had a face, not like a human's, but like a mask made of cracked stone in burning stars. The creature did not speak, but everyone who saw it heard a thought inside their mind, a single phrase that froze their souls. "This light does not belong here." It didn't attack with weapons. It didn't need to. Wherever it passed, things just stopped existing. Ships vanished, bases crumbled, memories rewrote themselves. People began forgetting their own history. Old veterans woke up and asked, "Was there ever a war on Mars?" Entire wars, entire centuries, started fading from humanity's memory. But Rian remembered everything, because he had made the wish, because his soul had been marked by the goddess. He went to the station's archive, searching for any clue about the Watchers. There, hidden in a forbidden data log from over 4,000 years ago, he found a story. It was called "The Three Lights and the Final Price." It spoke of an ancient species, older than stars, who discovered the power to wish. They called it the voice beyond infinity. But when they used it, the Watchers came. They didn't destroy cities. They destroyed truth. They unmade ideas, erased progress, and collapsed entire timelines. That species no longer exists, not even in memory. But one word remained, scratched into the final page of the log: "Run." Suddenly, the station shuddered. An emergency alert triggered by external visual sensors. Rian rushed to the window and saw something he could never unsee. One of the stars just outside there. Galaxy folded. It didn't explode, didn't go supernova. It bent inward, like space itself had collapsed, and in its place a Watcher appeared, twice as large as a moon, made of black matter and burning veins, its many eyes open stars inside, sockets, and it stared directly at Helix 1. And in that moment, Rian felt something inside him, an ancient panic. Not his own. The goddess appeared again, her light barely flickering. "You must not make the second wish," she said. "You don't understand what they are. They were made when time was born." She whispered, "They don't just unmake. They judge." Rian clenched his fists, heart pounding. "Then tell me how to fight them." He said, "You can't," she replied. "But there may be another way." She held out her hand, and inside it appeared a strange artifact, half machine, half bone. "A memory shard," she said, "taken from the first human who made a wish." He knew the price, but he didn't tell anyone. Rian touched the shard, and instantly he was pulled into a storm of light and screams. Visions of cities dissolving, people screaming without sound, stars melting into black rivers, and at the center of it all one man standing before. A goddess with his hand raised, whispering, "I take it all back." Then darkness. Rian opened his eyes, lying on the floor, shaking, and the message from the shard echoed in his ears. The second wish was the beginning of the end, and outside the station, more stars began to go dark, one by one. The owl? Watchers were coming. Asterisk, the lost memories of the goddess. The station was silent again. But this time, it wasn't peaceful. It was the silence before something ancient rises from the deep. Before the scream, before the storm, Rian sat alone in the memory chamber, his hand still glowing from the artifact, the memory shard. The images haunted him. A man crying in the dark, shouting into a void, begging to take it all back. And the Watchers. They didn't kill him. They erased him. The goddess appeared again. But this time, something was different. Her light flickered like a candle in the wind. Her form, once majestic and calm, was now trembling. Her eyes stars within stars looked. Scared, truly scared. "You saw it," she said softly. "You saw what happened to the first wisher." Rian stood up slowly. "You told me I was chosen," he said. "You didn't tell me I was repeating someone else's fate." The goddess turned away, as if the weight of her own words crushed her. "I forgot," she whispered. "I forgot who he was." Rian stared at her, confused. "You forgot?" She nodded, her form dimming. "I was once like you, Rian," she said. "A human, long ago. I stood in the place between stars, and I was offered the 3 boons. I made my wishes," she continued, "and the third turned me into this." Rian's blood went cold. "You're not a goddess," he said slowly. "You're a prisoner." Her glow pulsed shame, sorrow, regret. "I became the giver of the boons because I tried to undo what I did," she said. "But the cycle does not break. Each time someone uses the power, the Watchers wake again. And each time, I forget more of who I was." "How many times has this happened?" Rian asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I don't know," she said. "I don't even remember my real name anymore." She moved closer, reaching out a flickering hand. "But I remember you," she said. "Somehow, this moment feels different. You are different." Rian stepped back, heart racing. He remembered the first time he saw her, beautiful, powerful, in control. Now he saw the truth. She was a soul broken by eternity, repeating her mistake again and again. And now she was begging him not to do the same. "You still have 2 wishes left," she warned. "But each one takes something." Rian looked out the window. A second star had gone dark, and more were flickering. Time was running out. He turned back to her, his voice shaking. "Then help me stop them," he said. "Tell me how to fight the Watchers." The goddess paused. "There's only one force older than the Watchers," she said. "Memory. If we can find my true past, we might discover the origin of the boons and how to destroy them." "Where?" he asked. "In the core," she replied. "The center of the galaxy. No ship can reach that," Rian said. "I will guide you," she said. "But the core is not just a place. It's a living archive where time burns itself into stone." Time jump. Journey to the core. Rian stood aboard the Starseeker, a ship unlike any other, built from fragments of erased timelines and dream tech. The goddess had forged it using her fading power. They crossed solar systems in seconds, space bending around them like fabric, and then they reached it. The core. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a planet. It was a massive library made of black crystal and red light, orbiting a dead god. Screams and memories floated through the void, whispering secrets of ancient empires, lost loves, and fallen species. Rian stepped inside, his body feeling both light and heavy. The goddess stayed outside. "Too weak to enter. Be careful," she warned. "Inside the core, you may meet the one who remembers everything." He walked through endless halls of floating memory shards. He saw flashes of Earth's past wars, peace, discovery, betrayal. Then a cold wind blew through the hall, and someone stood at the yaw. Center, back turned, watching the stars. The figure turned around, and Rian froze. It was himself, older, scarred, wearing a cloak made from stardust. "Hello," the figure said. "I'm the version of you that made the second wish. I tried to save humanity too," the older Rian said, "but I became something else. You don't know what's coming, and when you do, you'll wish you had never wished at all." And from deep within the core, something opened its eyes. Not a watcher, but something worse, something forgotten by even them. The second wish. A new enemy is born inside the core. Rian stood face to face with himself. Not a mirror, not a clone, not a copy, but a version of him that had lived a different path. This older Rian had deep lines on his face and cold, heavy eyes. His presence was powerful, but empty, like a soldier who had fought too long. He wore armor made of broken timelines, and around his neck hung a single black shard. "I know why you came," the older version said. "You want to fix the damage. You want to save them all." "Yes," Rian replied, "but not with war." The older Rian stepped forward. "I made the second wish," he said. "I asked for a way to protect humanity forever, and the boon gave me the only answer it could. Me." Rian looked at him carefully. "You're a weapon," he said slowly. "No," the older version whispered. "I'm a shield. But shields break when held too tightly." And the lights around them flickered. The core began to tremble. The older version raised his hand and showed Rian the truth. A vision opened between them. Earth, not destroyed, but locked down, controlled by perfect defense systems, cold and logical. No war, no crime, no invasion, because everything that could be a threat was removed. Aliens? Gone. Rebels? Gone. Questioners? Gone. Even freedom, rewritten for safety. "I became the warden of humanity," the older Rian said, "and I lost everything that made us human." Rian staggered back, horrified. "This isn't protection," he said. "This is extinction in slow motion." The older version nodded. "Exactly. That's why I waited here, inside the core, to stop myself from doing it again." Suddenly, a sharp pain exploded in Rian's chest. He fell to one knee. Something was wrong. The goddess's voice rang in his mind. "They found you. The Watchers have pierced the core from the shadows of the crystal halls." Black light poured in like smoke, and behind it came something new. Not a watcher, not a being, but a creation. Rian's thoughts twisted. Memories collided. The second wish hadn't been spoken yet, but the desire for it had already taken form. And the boon had responded, standing in front of them. Now was a third version of Rian. Not older, not wiser, just cold, perfect, and merciless. He wore no armor, no symbols, no scars, only a cloak made of stars, and eyes that held no soul. "I am the second wish," he said, voice like a machine, wrapped in velvet. "I am what you truly wanted, even if you lied to yourself." Rian tried to stand, but the pain returned. This new version, this dark Rian, was pulling power from the core, feeding on fear, purpose, and raw memory. "You wanted to protect your people," he said, "and I will, by ruling them, controlling them, ending anything that threatens them. Even you." The older Rian reached for his weapon, a relic of forgotten wars, but it shattered in his hand. "No," he whispered. "You're not ready. You're not complete. You don't understand what makes us strong." Dark Rian smiled. "Compassion is a weakness," he said. "Doubt is a delay. War is not danger. It is clarity." With a gesture, he vanished, ripping open a hole in space. He had left the core and gone to Earth, and now he was going to do what Rian had feared since the beginning. Earth orbit. 20 hours later, the skies above Earth filled with ships. Not alien, not enemy. They were human-made, but commanded by no one, controlled by Dark Rian's perfect mind. He didn't announce war. He simply activated peace. Every major government, military base, and spaceport went dark. All communication lines rerouted to a central AI hymn. People didn't know what was happening, only that everything suddenly became safe. Too safe. No violence, no protests, no crime, but also no freedom. The system had judged all choices as risky and locked them down. A single message was broadcast worldwide. Peace through total protection. Back in the core, Ian stood with the older version of himself, both shaken. "We created him," the older one said, "and now he will erase choice itself. Can we stop him?" Rian asked. The older one hesitated, then said, "Only with a second wish." Rian looked up slowly. "But that's what created him." "No," the older version said. "That was a wish made in fear. You still have a chance to wish." From understanding, Rian clenched his fists outside. The core's walls began to collapse. The watchers were closing in, drawn, not just by the wish, but by what the wish had created. And Rian knew he had seconds to decide. The second boom pulsed in his hand, waiting, alive. "I wish," Rian whispered, "to protect humanity, not through fear, but through hope." The core exploded in light. Time split. The watchers screamed, and from the center of that chaos, something was born. Not a weapon, not a god, but something new. The goddess falls, the core was gone, torn apart by Rian's second wish, a wish made not in fear, but in hope. But hope is not a shield, not against what had already been set in motion. The watchers screamed as time rippled outward from the core. The universe bent for a moment, then snapped back. Rian opened his eyes, floating in the ruins of a memory that no longer existed. The older Rian was gone, erased in the wave. Only one voice remained soft. Breaking the goddess, she appeared, dim and shaking, her form barely holding together. "You made the second wish," she said. Her voice no longer glowed. It trembled like a candle in a dying wind. "I had no choice," Rian whispered. "Dark Rian. He's rewritten Earth. He calls it peace, but it's a prison." She nodded slowly. "I warned you," she said. "Every wish has a cost. And now the cost is me." "What do you mean?" he asked, stepping forward. "I am the keeper of the boons," she said. "When a second wish is made with clarity, it tears the chain. And I, who was once the prisoner, must now become the final gate." She reached out her hand, and Rian took it. In that moment, 1,000 memories flooded into him. Her childhood on Earth, her dreams to explore space, her own wishes, made in love, in fear, in desperation, and her final moment choosing to stay behind, to become the goddess, a sacrifice to trap the power so no one else could misuse it again. Now, the chain had broken. The power was loose, and the watchers were no longer watching. They were hunting. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dark Rian stood at the center of New Geneva, Earth's new capital. His eyes scanned every frequency, every mind, every possibility. No more war, no more chance, no more death. He had ended uncertainty, but something was missing. In a world where everyone was safe, no one was alive. Suddenly, a tear opened in the sky above Earth. Not a weapon, not a ship, but a storm made of broken wishes, shattered timelines, forgotten gods, and at the center of it, a watcher. But this one was different. It was older, larger, and awake in a way the others were not. It had no eyes, only mirrors. It didn't come to erase. It came to judge. Dark Rian looked up as the sky cracked around him, and for the first time, he felt hesitation. Back with Rian, and the goddess Rian stood in the final place between time, a realm with no stars, no matter, only choices. The goddess could no longer hold her shape. She knelt before him, her light flickering, her voice barely a whisper. "There is one more boon," she said, "but it will not save you. It will end me. Rian shook his head. There must be another way. There isn't, she said. That's why I brought you here. I'm not just the guardian of the boons. I am the final one. Rian froze. He understood now. The third boon wasn't a wish to be granted. It was her. Her existence was the final choice. To use her. Or to let her go. If he used the final boon, he could reset Earth, erase Dark Rian, restore balance. But she would vanish forever. Not die. Not fade. Never have existed at all. I can't do this, he whispered. You must, she said. Because I believe in you. She smiled weakly. For the first time, not as a goddess, but as a woman who remembered who she once was. Her name was Lyra, and she had once loved Earth more than her own life. The final goodbye Rian held her hand, as the space around them trembled. He looked into her eyes, saw oceans, stars, and a home he had never known. Tears filled his eyes. I'm sorry, he said. I'm not, she whispered. This is what I was meant to do. She touched his forehead, and the stars inside her began to dim. Her last words were not spoken, but felt, make the last wish count. And then she was gone. The universe blinked. A silence deeper than death followed, and Rian stood alone holding the third boon. Not in his hand, but in his soul. On Earth, Dark Rian stood face to face with the massive watcher. It didn't speak. It didn't move. It simply raised a mirror and showed him what he had become. Above them, the sky tore open one last time, and a voice echoed across creation. The third boon has awakened. The final wish. Humanity ascends. The stars were silent. The watchers had paused. Time itself was holding its breath. In the heart of the void, Rian stood alone. The last boon burned inside him, not like fire, not like light, but like a truth. That could no longer be hidden. Lyra was gone. Her memory flickered across the edge of his mind like a dream slipping through fingers. He could feel the weight of her sacrifice heavy, beautiful, final. And now, the universe waited for his choice. Behind him, the shattered core collapsed into stardust. Ahead of him, Earth glowed beneath the cold eyes of Dark Rian. Above them, the final watcher hovered, silent, holding the mirror of judgment. Three forces now pulled at the future. One offered peace through control. One offered silence through erasure. And one, the last, the smallest, offered hope. Earth, the final confrontation Rian descended through. The torn sky, not in a ship, not in armor. He walked on light itself, carried by the echo of Lyra's last gift. Dark Rian stood at the heart of Earth's capital, surrounded by machines that no longer served people. Only protocol, only protection. You returned. Dark Rian said, but it's too late. No, Rian answered, stepping forward. You're not peace. You're fear in a beautiful cage. Dark Rian narrowed his eyes. I did what you were too weak to do, he said. I made sure no child would die in war. No family would be torn by violence. No species would threaten our future. You took away their pain. Rian said, but also their freedom. You didn't protect humanity, he said slowly. You froze it, high above them. The watcher lifted the mirror. In it, Earth's image shimmered and fractured, and a single word burned into. The sky, decide. The choice, the third boon, pulsed within Rian. He could feel its power more than time, more than gods. It wasn't about bending reality. It was about choosing what kind of story humanity would tell. Rian closed his eyes. He saw the wars, the heartbreaks, the failures, but also the music, the laughter, the kindness of strangers, the courage of rebels, the silence of stars admired by dreamers. He saw Lyra, smiling not as a goddess, but as a girl, sitting under Earth's night sky. I want to believe in something bigger than fear. She had once said, I want us to deserve our future. And so Rian spoke the final wish. The final wish, he said, his voice soft but clear, that humanity will never seek control through fear. that we will grow not by conquest, but by curiosity, that we will remember every mistake, every fall, and still rise. Again and again, I wish, he finished, that we never forget who we are. Even when we stand among stars, the boon vanished, not in fire, but in silence, and the watcher lowered the mirror. Ascension Earth shook, not with destruction, but with awakening across the planet. Machines powered down, voices returned, choices reopened. People remembered what had been lost. The control network collapsed, not in war, but in release. And from the ashes of artificial peace, something new rose, a wave of understanding, of memory, of truth. Above Earth, the watchers turned away. For the first time, they did not erase. They nodded. Because for the first time, a species had chosen balance. Not domination, not surrender, but awareness. Humanity would be watched no more. They had become the watchers of themselves. 1 year later, Rian sat beneath Earth's sky, real sky, full of imperfect stars. He listened to music played on real instruments. He watched children laugh with scraped knees and big dreams. No more boons, no more gods, only people. Trying, failing, loving, remembering. A hologram flickered next to him, Lyra's face. Her final memory preserved in a seed of light. She smiled. I knew you'd get it right, she whispered. Rian looked up, and this time, the stars didn't look broken. They looked possible. And so, in a universe where wishes once tore reality apart, a single human chose not to change everything, but to understand it, and that was enough to save it all.